A blessed day, fellow researchers. I am Dr. Michael J. H. Punsalan, an internal medicine resident from Jose B. Dingad Memorial General Hospital here in Pampanga, Philippines. I am here to present my research entitled The Effects of Spirituality on the Quality of Life Among Cancer Patients Enrolled in the Outpatient Chemotherapy Clinic, together with my co-authors, Dr. Paulo Choleco and Dr. Noel Chua. Spirituality was defined as a way individuals seek and express meaning and purpose in the way they experience their connectedness to the moment, to self, to others, to nature, and to the significant or secrethood. It emphasized a feeling of having relationship with the others, having meaning and purpose in life, and having belief and relation with exalted power. It was observed that workers do not only utilize the medical aspect of management, but also look into spirituality as part of care and coping. It was indicated that among patients, 94% believe that spiritual health is as important as physical health, 40% of which use faith to cope with illness, and 25% use prayer for healing. Palliative care patients with higher levels of spirituality have better quality of life, and that supporting spiritual well being is useful, especially as patients approach the end of life. It followed that as persons in charge of the long term care of patients with cancer, oncologists should not only focus on the survival impact of a patient's treatment regimen, but equally important in assessing how the cancer treatment is affecting the different aspects of a patient's life. Studies showed that spiritual beliefs provide comfort to cancer patients and that different dimensions were related with the different aspects of health. Chemotherapy treatment had adverse effects which can cause changes not only in the body but also to the emotional and mental state of a cancer patient undergoing chemotherapy. One of the priorities in cancer management was to achieve a favorable quality of life since it indicates one's effectiveness of cancer treatment modality. For the objectives, our study aims to determine and correlate the effects of spirituality and quality of life among patients enrolled in the outpatient chemotherapy clinic. The study design was an analytical cross-sectional study using a non-probability convenience sampling. Descriptive statistics was used to present and to analyze the nominal variables. The details of the study participants were kept in confidentiality. All identifiable information and data were given code numbers. A master list linked to the code number and subject identity were kept separately from the research data. Participants who were enrolled from the different provinces in Region 3 here in the Philippines were included in the study. Upon the enrolled participants in the study, a total of 105 patients were enrolled, taking into consideration in the sample size computation by Hughie Cummings et al. Informed consent was obtained from the study participants before administering the questionnaire. In this procedure, the patients received a letter explaining the study, its objectives, and main methods of data collection. Included in the study were cancer patients who were 19 years old and above who were enrolled and underwent chemotherapy at Jose Bilingad Memorial General Hospital Oncology Clinic, which includes breast, liver, Hodgkin's lymphoma, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, nasopharyngeal carcinoma, colon adenocarcinoma, endometrial carcinoma, cervical cancer patients, those who were coherent and medically stable, able to communicate verbally and through writing, able to understand and communicate in English or in Filipino, and categorized as ECOG performance status scale of 0 to 1. Excluded in the study were patients who were currently taking pain medications prior to chemotherapy. Questionnaires were used including the Spirituality Questionnaire by Hart and the Quality of Life Questionnaire of Cancer Patients by the group of Ngelangel. The Spirituality Questionnaire by Hart was used in the study consisting of 20 questions with the skills including belief in God, search for meaning, mindfulness, feeling of security with good reliabilities. All skills were answered with the categories not true at all, hardly true, don't know, rather true, and absolutely true of each item were rated as 1 to 5 respectively. For the interpretation of scores for each subscales, the following scoring system were used. A high level of spirituality had a mean score of 3.61 to 5. Moderate level of spirituality signified a score of 2.31 to 3.6, and a low level of spirituality was considered low when the score is 1 to 2.3. The said questionnaire was translated and validated into a Filipino version by a licensed Filipino teacher in order for the respondents to understand the questionnaire better. On the other hand, a questionnaire lifted from the UPDOH Quality of Life by the group of Ngelangel was used in the study for the QOL. 33 questions written in Filipino were grouped into the following domains: physical wellness, emotional well-being, social status, cognitive status, and self-care or related functions. The response of each item ranged from 1 to 7, which corresponds to the lowest and highest QOL for each item. For the interpretation of scores for each domain, the following scoring system can be used: a high QOL with a mean score of 5.01 to 7, a moderate QOL signifies a score of 3.01 to 5, and a QOL will be considered low when the score is 1 to 3. The two research tools were allowed to be used by the proponents of their respective study. The participants were given 20 minutes to answer the question, either through written and can be guided orally. Data were collected and checked for any inconsistencies, error, or missing entries before migrating the data to the statistical program for data analysis. The Pearson's correlation coefficients per Monroe were computed on the relationship between the dimensions and spirituality and the subscales of the quality of life among cancer patients. Other results noted overall mean spirituality score of 3.56, indicating moderate to high, with an overall mean of QOL score of 5.41, indicating a high QOL or quality of life. Moreover, higher levels of spirituality, specifically in the subskills of mindfulness and feeling of security, were correlated and were noted to have better QOLs in terms of emotional well being and social status. In our discussion, in the study by Tan and Yang in 2017, spirituality was noted to become a refuge of majority of the cancer patients. It was emphasized that faith seemed to play an important role that weaves the fabric of connectedness in giving them that sense of hope. It was also a profound aspect that molded them to have the will to thrive. Most of these participants were even lifting their faith to a spiritual well being. As compared to this study, 105 respondents were found to have an overall mean spirituality score of 3.56, indicating that they have a moderate to high levels of spirituality. Furthermore, the said participants of this study took emotional healing as a part of modality in healing process. Participants, however, wanted to resolve this emotional issue to help them feel less burdened and also to achieve peace. A greater social status was implicated to the support of friends, family, healthcare provider, and even from unknown person. It was emphasized as priceless in making them the feeling of well-being love, which helped them to continue winning the race. It was reflective in the study that the dimensions of spirituality, which were found to have significantly associated with QOL domains, were mindfulness and feeling of security, which were both found to have a positive correlation with emotional well being and social status. This study revealed that majority of cancer patients have a moderate to high level of spirituality and high quality of life. This implied that cancer patients who were enrolled in the outpatient chemotherapy clinic were able to cope up spiritually and maintain a better quality of life, especially on the social and emotional aspect, despite undergoing chemotherapy in the outpatient department. It is important for a clinician to have a better knowledge on the spirituality and quality of life among cancer patients since treatment and evaluation of management were merely focused on the totality of the patient rather than the disease itself. Thus, spiritual care should be included as one of the non pharmacological modalities in the comprehensive management and palliative care for the Filipino cancer patients in order to improve the overall well being, healthcare outcomes, and quality of life of patients and their families. Specifically, every part of the healthcare team should formulate protocols on how to support and assist cancer patients as they face their battles in every stages of their journey. It is recommended also for future researchers to tackle spirituality and quality of life among cancer patients in a qualitative format, such as phenomenological and grounded theory researches. And for that, maraming salamat po in Filipino. Thank you very much for listening.